Discover the heartwarming tale of a hidden heir, an incredible journey to life-changing wealth. Riley Adams woke up that morning just like any other, her head hitting the pillow way too late after another long shift at Ma's diner, then right back up as the sun filtered through the thin curtains. It was a small town in the Midwestern heartland where everyone knew each other and every day felt like a repeat of the last. Juggling two jobs at the local diner and grocery store, she was always exhausted, yet she found strength in her mother, a proud Vietnam veteran. Her mother taught her the meaning of hard work, resilience, and the unwavering loyalty that held their small community together. On that ordinary afternoon, as the clock ticked against the backdrop of swirling thoughts and unpaid bills, a curious envelope caught her eye. It was addressed to her in elegant handwriting and unfamiliar style that almost felt like a whisper from another era. Riley's heart raced as she opened it, her breath hitching in her throat. "You have inherited a fortune," it read, "from family you never knew existed." The words echoed in her mind like thunderclaps, leaving her breathless. Could this really be true? In a town where opportunity felt as scarce as rain in summer, this revelation pushed Riley into a whirlwind of emotions, a dizzying cocktail of hope, fear, and confusion. Before she could process the news, gossip spread like wildfire through the town. Some friends smiled at her, their eyes sparkling with excitement, while others whispered caution. Would money change her? Would it disrupt the tight-knit community that had been her lifeblood? Those she once confided in began to squint at her differently, unsure if they could trust this new Riley. Strains of suspicion rippled through the warm bonds of friendship, leaving her feeling raw and exposed. Conversations that once brimmed with laughter began to fester with unspoken resentments. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. In the days that followed, Riley grappled with newfound class prejudice and mounting isolation. Her heart twisted as she walked through town, ears tuned to hushed conversations. Was she turning into someone different? The fortune loomed over her, but in her heart, she understood. True wealth lay not in cold cash, but in the love and camaraderie her community radiated. But would she lose those bonds? Or could this unexpected inheritance somehow serve the greater good? As she stood at a crossroads, the twilight painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, she recalled her mother's words, "It's not where you start, it's where you choose to go." Could she honor her roots while embracing this unexpected twist? Just when she felt a flicker of hope, an unexpected knock on the door sent her heart racing. What new chaos awaited her on the other side? Riley stood frozen at the door, heart pounding in her chest. The knock had sent a surge of adrenaline through her body, a mix of dread and hope. She took a deep breath and cautiously turned the handle. As the door creaked open, she was met with an unexpected face, an older woman with silver hair pulled back into a neat bun and sharp, searching eyes that shimmered with recognition. "Riley Adams?" she asked, her voice a blend of warmth and urgency. "Yes, that's me," Riley managed to reply, her mind racing. Who was this woman? The stranger stepped forward, her gaze penetrating. "My name is Margaret Wells. I'm your great-aunt. I've come to speak with you about your inheritance." Riley's stomach twisted. This was at the very connection to the fortune she had only glimpsed in that letter. My great-aunt? The word felt strange and foreign on her tongue. I didn't even know I had family out there. Margaret nodded, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "We lost touch after your grandparents passed. It hasn't been easy. But when I heard, I needed to find you." Riley stepped back, processing this new reality. The room felt hot and crowded, full of unresolved questions. Why now? Why me? "Because," Margaret said, her voice steadier now, "the money isn't just a fortune. It comes with responsibilities." She searched Riley's face for understanding. Your grandparents wanted you to have not just the wealth, but the legacy, the family connection that should come with it. Responsibilities? What do you mean? Riley asked, feeling a growing sense of panic. Would she have to choose between her roots and this wealth? Your family was involved in community work, helping others, supporting those in need. That was their true legacy. Margaret's voice was firm and intelligent, yet softened by the weight of the past. They believed that wealth meant nothing if it wasn't shared. Riley's heart raced. She thought back to her mother's lessons about hard work and loyalty. Could this be the direction she was meant to take? I understand if you're hesitant, Margaret continued, watching her intently. But I want to help you navigate this. Together, we can honor their memory while ensuring you don't lose sight of what matters most. Riley leaned against the doorframe, wrestling with her emotions. Could she really embrace this unknown relative and the weight of this family legacy? A world of possibilities opened before her, yet her feet felt heavy with uncertainty. Just then, a child's laughter echoed down the street, pulling her back to the moment. It was followed by her neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, walking her dog. Riley felt an ache of longing for the simplicity of her life before this inheritance, where happiness had come from small talk and shared smiles. Riley? Margaret's voice broke through her reverie. Will you at least hear me out? With a mix of resolve and trepidation, she nodded. Okay, I'll listen. As they stepped inside the house, a flickering candle cast a warm glow, illuminating the space like a beacon guiding Riley toward unknown shores. Little did she realize, this would be the beginning of a journey where not just her fortunes would change, but her entire understanding of family, community, and self-worth. As they settled at the kitchen table, the weight of the moment settled around them. The door that had once served as a border between her old life and her new was now wide open. What would this new chapter reveal? Would she rise to the challenge her family had left behind? Just as Riley was about to speak, a sudden clap of thunder echoed from outside, and her heart leapt. Whatever awaited her on this path felt as unpredictable as the storm, and deeper questions loomed just beyond the horizon. Would she be able to balance the life she knew with the one she had yet to discover? The candle flickered again, casting playful shadows across the kitchen walls. Riley squared her shoulders, the weight of the moment pressing around her like a thick fog. So, what do we do now? Margaret leaned forward slightly, her silver hair gleaming in the light. First, we need to go through the details, she said gently. Your grandparents left behind not just money, but a mission. I have documents that outline everything. They wanted a family member who cares and is willing to take on their legacy. Riley felt a knot form in her stomach. What if I'm not that person? What if I'm not ready? Riley, it's okay to feel overwhelmed, Margaret said, a hint of understanding in her eyes. This was unexpected for you. But remember, you're not alone. I've been waiting to connect with you, and I want to help you step into this role. As she spoke, Margaret pulled out a worn, leather-bound folder from her satchel and placed it on the table between them. The sight of it sent a shiver down Riley's spine. It felt heavy with history and expectations. What's in there? She asked, almost afraid to know. Everything your grandparents stood for. Projects they supported, causes they believed in. And their will. Margaret paused, gauging Riley's reaction. They wanted to build a community center. A safe haven for children, a place where people can come together. What if I don't know how to run a community center? Riley's voice cracked. The stakes felt so high, the responsibility so heavy. Margaret smiled softly. That's where I can guide you. We'll find a way to make it happen, one step at a time. You'll learn and we'll bring in people who can help. It's about creating a space for compassion and connection. Outside, the storm rumbled again, this time less threatening, more like a reminder of the change that lingered in the air. The world seemed to pulse with possibility, and for the first time, Riley felt a flicker of excitement beneath her worries. What's the first step? She asked, her voice firmer. Margaret's face broke into a wide smile. Let us start by visiting the site. It's not far from here. You need to see it for yourself, feel the space, the community. It'll make everything more real. Riley hesitated, glancing back at the familiar corners of her kitchen, the place where she had spent countless hours cooking, laughing, and dreaming in solitude. She felt a pang of nostalgia as she thought of leaving it all behind, even just for a moment. But this was her chance to honor her family, to do something impactful, to be part of a legacy she had never before realized she wanted. "Okay," she said, determination settling in her heart. "Let us do it." Margaret nodded approvingly. "You're going to be amazing. Remember, this isn't just about the money. It's about building relationships, about lifting others up." As they made their way out the door, Riley couldn't help but feel the storm outside echoing the whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. Hope battled anxiety in her chest, and with each step into the unknown, a mix of fear and excitement took hold. At the corner of her street, Riley paused. "Will it really make a difference?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper as the wind tousled her hair. Margaret turned, her expression earnest. "Yes, it can. Change doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with you believing it's possible." They stepped into the rain-soaked pavement and headed toward the community center site, each footstep resonating with the promise of a new beginning. But what Riley didn't yet understand was that the journey ahead would challenge her in ways she never anticipated, stirring secrets from the past that lay buried and waiting to be uncovered. Would she be ready for what was to come? The air was thick with the smell of rain as Riley and Margaret walked side by side. The rhythmic sound of droplets hitting the pavement filled the silence, creating a soundtrack of anticipation. Riley felt her heart racing, both from the rush of the moment and from the newfound purpose bubbling inside her. As they reached the community center site, the grassy lot emerged, drenched in silver light from the clouds. It was surrounded by a weathered wooden fence, the posts gray from years of neglect. Riley could see children's drawings along the fence, remnants of the creative projects some community member had left behind. She stepped closer, brushing her fingers along a few of the painted animals and colorful sunshines. "This place has potential," she murmured, more to herself than to Margaret. The dreams of laughter and creativity resonated in her mind. Margaret watched her closely. "Your grandparents envisioned it as a hub for activities, art classes, tutoring, even a small library. A space where children and families could gather, learn, and grow." Riley imagined it vividly, children's laughter spilling from the doors, parents sharing stories over cups of coffee, a young artist teaching the joy of paint. The thought made her smile, the knot in her stomach loosening ever so slightly. "What's the first thing we need to do?" she asked, eager to take action. "Let us start by cleaning up this area. We can organize a community event. Invite people to come out, share their ideas, and get involved." Margaret's enthusiasm was infectious, and it lit a fire in Riley's heart. They both knelt down, collecting trash and debris that had piled up in the corners of the lot. With every piece they picked up, something within Riley began to shift. A sense of ownership took root as she pictured every bright color and cheerful sound the center could bring. After a while, they took a break, sitting against the fence. The rain had eased into a gentle drizzle. Riley looked around, taking in the potential of the place that her grandparents had imagined so long ago. "Why did they choose me?" she asked, her voice wavering slightly. "There are a lot of other relatives who might have been better suited for this." Margaret sighed, her eyes searching the horizon as if she were looking for answers. "Because they believed in you. They saw your kindness, your compassion. They knew that you would care." Riley leaned her head back against the fence and closed her eyes. Their trust weighed heavily on her, but felt warm against her heart. "I want to honor that," she said finally. "But what if I fail?" This time, Margaret reached over, placing her hand on Riley's shoulder. "Failure is part of the journey, Riley. It's how we learn and grow. What matters is that you're willing to try and keep trying." As they sat in companionable silence, a sudden noise interrupted their thoughts, a rustling in the bushes nearby. Riley's heart raced, worry creeping in as she turned to look. From the cover of the leaves, an old man emerged, his face weathered but kind. "Excuse me," he said, voice gravelly yet gentle. "I couldn't help but overhear. Is this going to be a community center?" Riley exchanged a quick glance with Margaret. There was something about the old man, something that hinted he might hold a key to the past they had yet to uncover. Yes, Riley replied, standing tall. We're just getting started. The old man stepped closer, eyes twinkling with interest. Well, in that case, you're going to need a lot of help. I know what this place used to be. A chill ran down Riley's spine. She sensed that this conversation could unravel layers of history that had been hidden for far too long. What do you mean? She asked, curiosity and apprehension intertwining. As the man opened his mouth to speak, the storm clouds above rumbled once more, shadowing over them like a protective cloak. Riley felt her heart skip a beat. No matter what lay ahead, it was clear that this journey would twist and turn in ways she had never anticipated. Would she be brave enough to face whatever secrets were about to unfold? The old man took a deep breath, the sound of the rain now a mere backdrop to the intensity brewing in the air around them. He looked between Riley and Margaret, as if weighing his words carefully. This lot used to be something special, he said slowly, his voice thick with memories. It was a place filled with dreams and hope, a center that brought our community together during difficult times. We held celebrations here, potlucks, and children's events. It was a haven. Riley's mind raced. A haven? That S where her grandparents wanted to take it. But what happened to it? Why had it fallen into disrepair? What happened? Riley whispered, her curiosity piqued. There were changes, he continued, a trace of sadness crossing his face. Families moved away, and the heart of the community seemed to vanish. The place lost its magic, then it was forgotten. And your name? Margaret asked gently. Call me Mr. Callahan. I used to help run the center with your grandparents. They were full of love and determination. His eyes sparkled with distant memories. They had plans. Big plans. Riley felt the emotion climb in her throat. This was personal. Her family had poured so much into this vision, and all this time she had no idea. Could she bring it back to life? Do you have any ideas on how we can revive it? She asked, suddenly filled with a surge of determination. Mr. Callahan chuckled softly, shaking his head. It's more than ideas, my dear. You need the community. You have to reach out to those who used to come here. Dig deep to find the heart of this place. That's the only way it'll thrive again. With each word, Riley felt a weight lift. He was right. It was about connection. She remembered the chorus of voices in her neighborhood and how they lifted her spirit during tougher times. I want to do that, she said, feeling the resolve settle in her chest. I want to reach out, to bring people back. Maybe we can have a community event like the ones he mentioned. Margaret nodded, excitement illuminating her gaze. We can create flyers, organize meetings, even host a gathering to share how we plan to restore it. Mr. Callahan smiled, his eyes watering slightly. That's the spirit. Just remember, it won't be easy. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, others will follow. Riley's heart raced as she thought of the possibilities. She could already envision hands painting the walls, kids running across the grass, and families sharing meals again. This was her chance, but as she looked at the gray sky overhead, a hint of uncertainty flickered. Could one person truly revive something that had been dormant for so long? Thank you, Mr. Callahan, Riley said, determination seeping into her voice. We'll do our best to bring this community back together. Just as she finished speaking, a flash of lightning lit up the sky, followed by a deep rumble of thunder. The rain began pouring down once more, heavier this time. Looks like we should head inside to continue this conversation, Margaret suggested. No, Mr. Callahan replied firmly. Stay right here. You're about to discover something important. Confusion crossed Riley's face, but she didn't argue. Instead, curiosity washed over her like the rain, stirring something deep inside. Something important? She echoed, her voice trembling with anticipation. Mr. Callahan's gaze grew serious, his wrinkled hands clasped together earnestly. He leaned closer, as if about to reveal a long-held secret. There's more to this land than you know, and it's time for you to understand just how connected you are to it. As he began to speak, Riley felt her heart pound against her chest. What was he going to say? What hidden truths awaited her? This journey was just beginning, and the stakes were higher than ever. Would she be ready for what lay ahead? Riley leaned in closer, straining to catch every word that slipped from Mr. Callahan's lips. The rain hammered against the pavement, but the storm outside felt dwarfed by the tempest of emotions inside her. This was no longer just about a community center, it was about her family legacy. He began softly. Long ago, this land was gifted to my friend, your grandfather, a symbol of hope for our future. It wasn't just soil, it was a promise. His eyes twinkled, shimmering with memories as he conjured the warmth of shared joy. What promise? Margaret whispered, her voice almost lost in the patter of rain. The promise to keep this community alive, to cherish its people and foster growth. But somewhere along the line, that promise faded. Mr. Callahan sighed, his gaze shifting to the ground as if searching for the memories buried in the dirt. Life happened. The center closed. The laughter dwindled until there was only silence. A chill swept through Riley, her heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. But I want to revive it. I can't just let it fade away. I need to know what I can do. That's where you come in. He pointed towards the heart of the center. This land holds stories. Each plant, each stone has seen happiness and heartbreak. You need to uncover those stories, bring them to light. Only then can you inspire others to join you. But how? The doubt crept back in. What if she didn't have the power to do this? What if no one wanted to listen to her? Or worse, what if they had forgotten? Start with the people, he urged. Talk to the elders. They remember the songs sung and the dances shared. Connect with the kids playing nearby. They carry dreams, yet untainted. You'll find the key within them. Riley's breath quickened at the thought. She could knock on doors, host gatherings in her backyard, even launch a social media campaign. I will, she declared, fervor dancing in her eyes. I'll reach out to everyone. I'll ask them to share their memories and dreams. Mr. Callahan nodded, a faint smile gracing his weathered features. That's the spirit. But he paused, his expression sobering. You must also confront the truth of what this place has become. There are obstacles awaiting you, and not everyone will support your vision. Obstacles? Margaret repeated, her brow furrowed. He turned his focus to the old center, shadows creeping over its decaying walls. Lost hope can breed resentment and fear. You may face those who doubt your intentions or who have given up on this dream entirely. Be ready to stand firm. The words hung in the air, resonating in Riley's mind. This wasn't just about gathering people. It was a challenge that demanded resilience. But I can't do this alone, she admitted. I need backup. Someone to rally behind me. Margaret squeezed her hand, her resolve unwavering. We'll find others. We'll share the history, the magic. This is ours to reclaim. Just as they shared a hopeful glance, a booming crash of thunder echoed, shaking the ground beneath them as if the sky itself was reacting to their conversation. Remember, Mr. Callahan said, his voice suddenly grave, the path to revival is often fraught with doubt and twists. You must steer carefully and be open to the unexpected. Riley swallowed hard, knowing deep down that the unexpected might just be waiting around the corner. What would she uncover? Would she have to confront her deepest fears? As the rain tapered off, something in the atmosphere shifted, and an unexpected crack of sunlight pierced through the clouds. It seemed to illuminate the center, casting it in a warm, inviting glow. It was as if the land was awakening too, urging her forward. With determination steadying her heart, Riley wondered what would come next. Would the stories of the past weave into a tapestry of hope for the future? She was ready to find out. But then, something caught her eye, a flash of movement near the entrance of the center. A figure stepped into the light, someone she hadn't expected to see. Who? Riley's voice faltered. Who is that? The answer could change everything. Riley's breath hitched as the figure moved closer. Shadows danced on the pavement, revealing a familiar face she thought she'd never see again. It was her childhood friend, Danny. His presence sent a wave of nostalgia crashing over her, a mix of memories from laughter-filled summer days and secret dreams shared in the twilight. Riley? His voice broke the tension, laced with uncertainty and surprise. I didn't think I'd find you here. What are you doing here, Danny? She felt a rush of emotions: joy, confusion, maybe even fear. Seeing him was a jolt back to a time before their lives diverged, before dreams faded under the weight of reality. I came back to visit my parents, he said, running a hand through his tousled hair. I saw the center, it's changed so much. I remember when it was thriving. His eyes held a mix of longing and sadness. I can't believe it's come to this. Neither can I, Riley admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I want to bring it back. I want to bring back the laughter, the memories. Mr. Callahan says we can do it if we share our stories. Danny's gaze flickered toward the old center, uncertainty etched into his features. That sounds great, but how can we help? People have moved on. They don't care like they used to. We need to show them they can care again. We need to remind them what it was like, Riley said, her passion swelling with every word. If we come together, we can make them remember. You can help me gather stories. You're great at talking to people, Danny. We could be a team. He hesitated, chewing his lip. I'm not sure. What if they don't listen? Then we make them listen, Margaret chimed in, her voice firm as she instinctively stepped forward to angle herself into Danny's line of vision. We dig deep. We unearth the love, the connections, the history. Time isn't on our side, but we can make our stand together. Danny looked at both of them, and for a moment, he seemed lost in thought. The storm clouds that lingered had begun to clear, the sunlight filtering down with renewed hope. You're right, he said finally, a grin breaking free. I always believed in this place. If you two are in, I'm all in too. Riley's heart soared. They would start with the elders, she decided, the ones with the wisdom to share. The ones who could lead them to hidden stories waiting to be told. As they shared ideas, they rounded the corner towards the entrance of the center, a new energy thrumming among them. There was so much to do. Potential ambassadors to their cause dotted their thoughts: friends, families, even former volunteers who might want to rekindle the center's spirit. With newfound momentum, their laughter mingled with the soft breeze, a sound that felt like the beginning of something beautiful. But just as they stepped inside, a resonant voice cut through the warmth of their excitement. Who do you think you are? A stern figure loomed in the shadows, arms folded and eyes narrowed. It was someone Riley recognized well, a community leader who had fought against change for years. Her stomach twisted in knots. This confrontation wasn't just a setback, it was a challenge they hadn't anticipated. What do we do now? Riley whispered to Danny and Margaret, her mind racing. The answer could determine whether they would rise as champions or sink into fear. The air felt electric, charged with the weight of consequence. The coming moments would change the course of everything. Riley's heart raced as she met the piercing gaze of Mrs. Lancaster, the community leader known for her fierce protectiveness of traditions. This wasn't just a minor bump in the road. It was a looming obstacle that threatened to unravel everything they had just begun to build. Who do we think we are? Riley echoed, her voice unwavering despite the fluttering in her gut. We're the ones who want to bring people back to this place, to remind them of what it means to belong. You can help us, Mrs. Lancaster. Mrs. Lancaster only narrowed her eyes further, skepticism etched in the very lines of her face. And you think nostalgia will fix the years of neglect? The decay? This place was not just a youth center, it was a community, and what makes you think anyone still cares? Danny stepped forward, his voice steady. Because we care. This center meant something to all of us. I've lived away for years, but I still remember the laughter and the friendships. People like Riley are fighting not just for the building, but for the heart of our community. We believe we can make a difference. Margaret chimed in, we want to gather stories. Show everyone, including you, that this center is not just a relic of the past. It can be a beacon for the future. The air was heavy with tension. Riley's resolve flickered like a candle in the wind, but she couldn't give in. She nodded at Danny, her silent encouragement sparking courage between them. If we can't do this together, people will continue to forget. We need your support, Mrs. Lancaster. We want our old neighbors, our friends, to realize they can return, to remember what they left behind. The older woman studied their faces, weighing their words carefully. For a moment, silence enveloped them. Riley held her breath, waiting for the inevitable rebuttal. Finally, Mrs. Lancaster's grip on her arms relaxed slightly as she sighed. I don't believe it will be easy. Her voice softened just a bit. People have moved on. They may not want to come back. They have their lives, their routines. They don't have time for memories. But memories can spark something beautiful, Danny urged, stepping closer to make his point. Those connections last a lifetime. We can reach out, start conversations, and draw attention back to this place. Rekindle the flames of what once was. A flicker of recognition shone in Mrs. Lancaster's eyes, as if caught off guard by the truth in Danny's words. Connecting again requires effort not just from you, but from the whole community. It's going to take long nights, telephone calls, and a lot of heart. We're ready for that, Riley said, lifting her chin defiantly. If we have you behind us, we'll have a chance. This place can pulse with life again. We just need to take the first steps. Can we count on you? Mrs. Lancaster opened her mouth to argue but closed it again, her brow furrowing. Whatever hope had been lingering in Riley's heart found a tiny flicker of light in that moment. The older woman's resolve had begun to crack. But as the tension lingered, her shoulders stood strong. Fine, I'll listen. But I'm not promising anything. If this fails, the blame rests on you. Riley let out a relieved breath, glancing at Danny and Margaret, who shared in her newfound hope. That's all we need, someone willing to believe that change is possible, she said, a spark of determination igniting in her chest. As they left the shadow of confrontation behind, their minds swirled with ideas and possibilities. But deep down, Riley felt a new knot tighten. Could they really convince others to embrace this challenge? The reality loomed, but it was also full of promise. Before they could celebrate their small victory, a loud clatter echoed from the back room, pulling their focus, a sound like something or someone falling. The three exchanged worried glances. Whatever it was, they couldn't ignore it. They had stepped into this fight together, but that rattling noise hinted at more trouble lurking within. What was that? Danny murmured, his smile fading into concern. Riley shrugged, heart pounding as curiosity mixed with fear. I don't know, but we need to check it out. It could be a sign or a warning. She took a step forward, ready to discover what awaited them. The air thickened with unspoken questions, and the journey was just beginning. What would they uncover next? Riley led the way, her heart racing in anticipation of what lay beyond the door. The hallway, usually filled with laughter and warmth, felt unwelcoming now, shadows clinging to the corners. She glanced back at her friends, Danny and Margaret. Their expressions were a mixture of worry and determination. The bond they shared had only deepened during this fight to reclaim their community. They were ready to face anything together. As they approached the door to the back room, a sense of dread washed over her. What if the noise was something sinister? Yet the urge to know overpowered her fear. Riley pushed against the door, and it creaked open slowly, revealing a dimly lit room filled with dust and forgotten memories. The air hung thick, and her eyes darted around for the source of the clatter. And then she saw a fallen stack of chairs, scattered across the hardwood floor. Just chairs? Danny sighed in relief, rubbing the back of his neck. Margaret stepped inside cautiously. Maybe someone was moving them? Or trying to get in. Riley interrupted, examining the room. She noticed a large window covered in grime, partially ajar. It flickered in the waning light, like a beacon of hope trapped in the shadows. This isn't just about chairs. It's south about what this place represents and who still cares to come back. Danny approached the window, pushing it open further. I think we need to make this space accessible again. Open the windows, let in the light. Riley watched as he shoved aside dust-laden curtains, revealing a beautiful view of the park outside. Little kids played beneath the sunlight, and for a moment, she felt a surge of hope wash over her. This could be them one day, gathered in laughter, sharing stories and creating new memories. but how do we get everyone back here? Margaret asked, her brow furrowed in thought. Are we really ready for what comes next? We have to start somewhere, Riley insisted, her voice steadying with each word. We can clean up and make this place inviting again. The abrupt sound of footsteps intruded upon their thoughts, sending a pulse of adrenaline through Riley. They exchanged nervous glances. Who's there? Danny called out, inching closer to the room's door, ready to confront whatever waited outside. In that moment, a figure appeared at the threshold, a tall man with a familiar face and a warm expression. It was Mr. Anderson, the center's former director, someone Riley had admired greatly during her youth. Hello there, he said, surprise etched across his features. What are you three doing here? Riley's heart soared. Here was a man who had dedicated years to the center, a well of knowledge, and perhaps someone who could help them see their dreams come to life. She took a small step toward him. We're trying to bring it back. The laughter, the community. Will you help us? Mr. Anderson's gaze traveled across the cluttered room, then back to her. Life has changed since I left, but I've been watching from a distance. It's easy to think no one cares anymore, but we do. Riley interjected, her heart pounding with excitement. We need someone who knows how to connect with people, to inspire others to come back. He smiled faintly, hope flickering in his eyes. You're young, but it seems you have fire. We can take it one step at a time. As they began to discuss ideas, a wave of inspiration flooded through Riley. They could do this. It wouldn't be easy, but with voices rising and determination present, they could overcome more than just crumbling walls. But as they talked and revisited memories, a sudden thought gripped her. What if old memories weren't all they would have to face? There were wounds unhealed in the community, stories left untold. Will you help us uncover the truths that might make this harder? Riley finally asked, her voice dropping to a whisper. Are we really ready for what's buried here? Mr. Anderson paused, a shadow casting over his expression. What you're asking is no small feat, but everything worth having comes with challenges. There might be secrets waiting to be brought into the light. Riley couldn't shake the apprehension curling in her stomach. A part of her yearned to press on, but a deeper part wondered if they were ready for the truth that lay ahead. Just as she thought about how to respond, another loud crash echoed from the back of the center. What now? Danny exclaimed, the color draining from his face. Riley could only stare, heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. What had they uncovered, and what else was waiting to be exposed? As the loud crash echoed through the old center, Riley's heart felt like it was going to burst. What more could they face? She exchanged nervous glances with Danny and Margaret, each of them sensing that this was more than just a call of adventure. It was a test to their resolve. Should we check it out? Danny asked, his voice barely above a whisper, a mix of trepidation and excitement. Yes, Riley said, steeling herself. It could be just the wind, but we need to know. With that, she led the way, her pulse thrumming as they navigated the familiar yet haunting shadows of the building. As they approached the source of the noise, Riley pushed open another door, revealing a back room they had not yet explored. Dust motes danced in the streams of light breaking through, but the room itself was cluttered, boxes teetering precariously. A small herd of rusted tools lay discarded, apparently having been abandoned years ago. Then they saw at a broken window, the glass shattered across the floor, and there, tangled in some old fabric, was an old banner. It read Unity in our community. Riley felt her breath catch. It felt like a forgotten promise from a time when hope flowed freely. Who's been in here? Margaret breathed, glancing around, eyes wide. It doesn't matter, Mr. Anderson said, stepping forward. But this is a piece of history. A part of what this center once represented. He gently lifted the banner and brushed off the dust, each stroke of his hand revealing faded, vibrant colors that tugged at their hearts. Just then Mr. Callahan reappeared, his presence invigorating yet somehow familiar. I heard the commotion. I figured this was bound to happen, he said with a hint of a laugh. Do you remember this banner? Riley asked, her mind racing with possibility. Of course. It was made for the community celebration after we raised enough funds to support the center. It reminds us of what we came together to achieve. His eyes shone with nostalgia as he placed the banner back down on the table. That spirit is what you need to ignite. Riley's heart thumped louder with each passing moment. They were uncovering more than just physical remnants. They were revealing what the center could mean again, a source of connection, of joy, of unity. Then let us hold a community event, Riley said boldly, glancing at her friends, each of them nodding in agreement. Let us reintroduce everyone to what this place stands for. But how do we bring them here after all this time? Danny asked, worry creeping into his tone. We start with our stories, she replied with intensity. We invite people to come share what this place meant to them and what we can make it again. We highlight the history before we dive into the future. Mr. Anderson's eyes twinkled at her enthusiasm. You're on the right track. Start small. Host a gathering. It's not just about the memories, it's about creating new ones. Just like that, the room filled with purpose as they brainstormed ideas. Plans took shape like the banners of hope they had just unearthed. They would create flyers, set up social media pages, and talk to anyone who would listen. This was the seed of instruction that would grow into a vibrant opportunity. Moments turned to hours, filled with excitement and brainstorming. They crafted messages that rang with compassion and connection. But through it all, uncertainty still hung thick in the air. Would people truly come back? Their smiles flickered momentarily. Riley, Margaret said softly, sensing Riley's growing concern. What if we face opposition? We will, Riley asserted, a fiery determination igniting within her chest. But we'll face it as a team. Look how far we've come today. Look at the hope we've uncovered. If we join forces, the undeniable truth is that people care. They just need to remember. With a collective nod, they decided the first step would be to knock on doors and speak to their old neighbors personally. Memories of laughter shared, coffee served, and hearts connected could break through the walls of doubt. The residual tension was cut by a sudden crack of thunder outside, the sky rumbling. Let it rain, Danny laughed lightly. We can take whatever comes next. We're in this together. The laughter and camaraderie filled the space, transforming it from a forgotten shadow into the warm heart it could become. As they left that night, Riley felt lighter, hope radiating from her. They stood beneath the vast sky, warmed by the promise of community, taking the first steps towards reviving the center together, reminding themselves that they were embarking on a journey. From that moment forward, the building that once stood empty was now alive with potential, filled with echoes of their laughter in the air. Riley understood that this journey would bring challenges, but the very thought of their community working together lit a fire in her heart. It was a challenge she was ready to embrace. This was her moment, the link connecting her past, present, and future. Whatever awaited them ahead would unfold in time, and she was ready to meet it with open arms. And so, they walked together into the future, the spirit of their community guiding them, determined to share it with the world. This is where their story began. Don't let this journey end with Riley. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these tales alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel in this way. Don't wait not even one more second to share.